Hey there, welcome back to Yakuza 3. This is going to be part 27, if I am right, shortly. We're going to do the mystery side quest, or the rest of the mystery sub-story. And then once I'm done the mystery sub-story, then we'll head on over to the main story, and I'll beeline that. Are you Soako Usami? Yes. What do you want? I'm looking for the murder that happened at Cafe Alps 6 years ago. There's nothing left to say. Yukichi may have not called Oda. If we're going to find out the truth, I need to hear your account of what happened that day. Let's see. What to ask? Their alibi. You were there when Akachi confronted Oda, weren't you? Yeah. I mean, I was the reason they fought, so of course I was there. What happened after that? Did you see Akachi kill Oda?
Yeah.
I took off. So don't ask me. Took off? What do you mean? Do you have any idea how it feels to have your significant other walk in with you while you're someone else? Talk about awkward. And it would have been even more awkward if other people started coming in to see what the fuss is about, so I ran out the back door. What did you do after you left the cafe? Went home. But Yuichi followed me. Spent the night arguing about breaking up. So of course, I never imagined he actually killed Oda-san. So, you're saying you didn't see Akachi kill Oda? That's right. And I told the police that too. So nobody actually saw Akachi kill Oda, huh? Let's see, what to ask. Witness statements. Tell me about the person fleeing the scene. I don't know anything about that. I left the cafe before Yuichi did, so I don't know how he left. Right. Okay. About the motive. Any idea why somebody would kill Oda? Are you trying to be funny? No. I mean, besides your relationship with Oda. Do you do anything to make anybody else mad? I don't know. The police would have known if anybody loans out there or anything like that, right? I wasn't particularly close to him, really. We just ended up hooking up that night. I see. Maybe Akachi really did kill Oda after seeing him through the scene. Let's see. The fingerprints. They didn't find your fingerprints on the murder weapon, right? Right. They only found Yuichi's. We constantly replace the customer's ashtray with clean ones, but Yuichi must have been the only one to touch that one. Guess he was just unlucky. Yuichi took good care of the customers, and they replaced their cash trays often. I think he must have noticed that one was chipped. Let's see. What else? That's about it. We done here? We're supposed to be working. Right. Sorry. Thanks for your help. So the only one that's really suspect so far has been the dude. The second dude that we talked to. But I'm guessing at this point it's going to probably be the manager that killed him. So far, this guy is sketchy, but it's probably going to be Kinoshita as the murderer. Because he's the first one that saw it. He probably killed Oda, or either he killed Oda, or the girl from before, the other girl that worked there, killed Oda. One of the two. And so this guy, where he's at, Theater Square Club Sega. Last one? Alright, let's go to the last guy. Ask him questions, see if that brings us any information about the other part. If so, then we're on our way, I'd say. Club Sega! Oh. Oh, I can't walk in through that entrance? Oh, it's this entrance they want me to walk in. Oh, because they just reused the same. They just reused the exact same interior for the arcade. You're Unagi, right? That's right, who are you? Looking for Cafe Alp murder happened 6 years ago. What? Let's see. What to ask? His alibi. They say you weren't at the cafe the day of the murder, is that true? Yes. I spent the whole day at home. Alone. Nope. Some friends came over to play video games. These friends collaborate your alibi? That's right. So it wasn't me. About the witness statement. Do you know anything about the man seen fleeing the scene? No. I didn't see anything. Couldn't say anything. I don't hear anything. Motive. Can you think of anybody who want to kill Oda? I don't know anything. Don't ask me. Fingerprints. Prints were on the murder weapon, weren't they? Next, you're gonna start saying I wore gloves. Well, you're wrong. I wasn't anywhere near the cafe that day. Guess the stands to reason your prints wouldn't be on it. Let's see. What I ask? I don't know anything about the murder. Just leave me alone. Man, this guy's got a persecution complex. Let me know if you remember anything from around the time of the murder. Doesn't matter how small. I didn't do anything, honest. You have to believe me. Everyone's saying I'm the murderer, aren't they? Aren't they? No, nobody's saying anything about you. I don't believe you. Everybody hated me at that cafe. They used to harass me. Harassed you? How? Somebody even stole my wallet, CDs, and uniform out of my locker the day of the murder. Huh. Sure the police didn't pick them up as evidence? Absolutely sure. Somebody was harassing me, I tell you. Somebody stole Imawaga's things, huh? Got Imawaga's testimony. Okay. So here's the thing, though. None of that gives me really much to go on, except for the fact that somebody stole his things. So I guess I could talk to Asahi about it and ask, hey, did you bully the guy? Because I don't think I can talk to anybody else yet. But let me just double check. Florist. Yep. Talk to him. Yep. 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 So I'm gonna go back to Asai. Yeah, okay, I figured. Because he's the only one being weird. But the problem, like, with this group of logic is there's not really much that's going on to, like, hint me towards it. It's just like, hey, somebody stole this guy's things. Maybe I should bring this up to one of the other people I mentioned. Oh, well, there was one hiding something. So I guess that's where you're meant to make the leap of logic. But, yeah, we'll see. And if you're wondering, no, I did not just search up the answer. I don't know who did it still. I just searched up the process, just to be sure. Rather than, you know, waste time, because I don't want to do that unnecessarily if I don't have to. So that's why I'm just wanting to beat these guys up and get going. A zoom! So he's at the Popo on the Nakamichi Street Alley, which I think is down this way. God damn it, dude. Why must he be in the middle of the street and say I bumped into you? Nope. Oh. That could have been really bad. There's no autosaves in this game, so if that went through, that would have been very bad. Just pick that guy up so I don't end up accidentally using a heat move. Damn it, the hell's up with you, man? Look, sorry, just let me go, alright? Cool, $500. Cool. Or that would be $50. What's up, dude? I want to ask you about the murder of the cafe 6 years ago. Boring to tears, ask me again. Stop asking questions. See. By the way, do you remember Imagawa? Imagawa? Sounds familiar. Your coworker from Cafe Alps. Oh, Mr. Gloomy? Yeah, I remember him now. Imagawa says he had things stolen from his locker. You know anything about that, Sly? What? You think I had something to do with it? I mean, why would you ask it that way? Yes, look, I'm not judging you, I'm just trying to find out what you know. Well, I might have tried a quick buck or two off him. All I took was a wallet and some CDs I sold off later. Anything else? Huh? Like what? You didn't steal Amagi's uniform?
Yeah.
Uniform? How would I make any money off that? All I saw was wallet and CDs, that's all. So that's all Asai took. Maybe the police did take the uniform. Guys, number 2 testimony. So now this thing said I should go back to Cafe Alps. I should meet up with... Okay, yeah, so okay. They did do a prompt to be like, hey, you should go back to Cafe Alps. So that's good, at least. Because otherwise, you could be like, oh, well, where am I meant to go from here again? But it also kind of shows, hey, you're done. Ish. Boop-a-doom. Funny seeing you here. What's up? I'm taking one of my clients out on the town. We're in the area, so I thought I'd drop in and see you. Taking a client out on the town? Don't mean you're going to one of those host clubs. My client just happens to like host clubs. Really? It's just a coincidence. Speaking of which, isn't your perfume a bit strong tonight? Oh, really? I don't think so, but... Oh, look at the time! Okay, gotta go. That Yuko. Who's that woman talking to Kinoshita? That was Kinoshita's wife, Yuko-san. Kinoshita's wife? How do you know about that? She actually used to work here. That's how I know about her. She worked here. Is that so? That's right. She already quit by the time the murder happened, though. She wasn't on the security tapes in the dining area, so she definitely wasn't at the cafe that day. I see. Doesn't sound like Kinoshita's wife, Yuko, is actually involved in the case, but maybe we should look into her anyway. Maybe stop asking questions, would that do it? Nope, that doesn't trigger anything. Leaving the shop, maybe I have to go to a host club? Maybe she's in Stardust? You know what, she'll probably be in Stardust, but I'll double check. Again, don't want to waste time. Stardust. It's like, go to, she's here, she likes host clubs, so go to the only one you know. Good thing I'm friends with the biggest host club group in Kamurocho. Stardust. Is that? Looks like Kinoshita's wife, Yuko.
Kiryu-san.
Oh, Kiryu-san. What brings you here? Yeah. What can you tell me about that woman over there? Who? You mean Yuko-san? She's been a regular customer of yours for years. What do you want with her? She looks awfully rich for somebody so young.
Oh.
She manages a venture-founded startup. The company got popular making products targeting young women. It's all growing popular pretty fast last 4 or 5 years. Is that so? Oh, Yuya! Who is that? I haven't seen him here before. Is he a new host?
Oh.
Ah, Yuko-san. This is Kiryu-san. We owe him a lot to this man. And no, he's not a host. Oh, I see. Well, that's unfortunate. This is my company, by the way. If you ever need anything, give me a call. Sure. Got our business card. Bye. Tonight was fantastic. Been looking forward to seeing you again. I'll collect all the information I can right now. Should head back to see what see Detective Maeda. So back to the Baton. Back to Baton. In all likelihood, some people are going to try to run after me and start a fight. So we're going to try to avoid that. Like that guy. Or like that guy. Basically, anytime I see an NPC just standing still, I'm like, oh, they might want to pick a fight. Alright, back to bad time. Let's talk to the detective, figure stuff out. So, still don't see anything off about any of this. Do you have a minute? Oh, it's you. So did you find proof of Ketchi's innocence yet? What was that you were looking at? Oh, this? List of evidence that made it during this investigation 6 years ago. You're taking such a hard look at the case, I thought I'd better take a glance at myself. Can I see that? Yes, but you won't find anything wrong with it. Honestly, I can't figure out why you think Ketchi's innocent. List of evidence. Wait a minute, what's this? What's what? Finally got it. Is it really simple all that simple that long? No mistake about it. Somebody framed Akechi.
Nani?
What? Are you serious? Yeah. I'll explain everything. First, I need you to round up everybody related to the case. But I'll turn out fine. You'll see. Okay, just don't blame me if it doesn't. We'll get everybody together at Cafe Alps. That'll work, right? Yeah, that's fine. The killer is you! I got all the evidence I need. Time to reveal what really happened 6 years ago. Alright, well, let's take a look if I can actually see the item he was talking about. Testimony 2, Amagi's thing. Business card, Waka's testimony. Ah, list of evidence. Well, unless you can read very, very fine print, out of focus Japanese, you're not going to get any of the thing from this, so good luck actually solving the mystery. Okay, I get that why they do things like that for dramatic effect sometimes, or most of the time, but it really, really frustrates me and annoys me when a series is saying, hey, yeah, so we're a mystery series, and we're going to give you all the clues to figure out who the villain is, up until, like, the actual most crucial piece of evidence that actually would allow you to figure out exactly who the villain is. We'll let you get enough clues to figure out maybe 1 or 2 suspects, but we won't show you the vital piece of information that you need to actually, like, prove it. And sometimes it's like, oh, yeah, by the way, so we're setting up this whole time that looks like it's this person, but actually it's this person that we've never talked about in the whole time. Alright, here we are. What's the mystery? Well, I did as he asked, Detective. Closed the cafe and kicked everyone out. Now, what's all this about? Kiryu-san and his friend here would like to talk to all of you. I'm here for one reason alone. I'm sure you all remember the murder that took place here 6 years ago. The victim, Kazuo Oda-san, the manager of this cafe at the time, one of the employees, Akechi-san, was arrested for his murder. But did Akechi-san really kill Oda-san? I'd like to each one of you to think back on that day. Do any of you have any evidence, that's truly conclusive evidence, that Akechi-san was the one who killed Oda-san? I've been struggling with one question since the day of that murder. Could Akechi-san actually be innocent? But before I could find out for sure, the article wrote implicating Akechi-san was the murder got published. But thanks to Kiryu-san here, I finally arrived at the truth of what happened 6 years ago. But if Akechi-san is innocent, that means somebody else is guilty. Exactly. But what do you have to base all this on, Kiryu-san? I need to show them the proof of Akechi-san's innocence. What should I give? I'm assuming it's the list of evidence. So this is the thing where they do it in Ace Attorney and stuff like that, where it's like, hey, show a piece of evidence. It's like, well, some evidence actually does work, others do not. So, yeah. So I have to present Usami's, so where he didn't witness Akechi murder Oda. Usami is the man who saw Akechi and Oda fight in the day of the murder, isn't that right? Yeah. But I left in the middle now. In other words, she didn't actually see Akechi-san kill Oda. Exactly. And only Usami saw Oda and Akechi fighting. We can't conclude Akechi killed Oda, which means the charges against him could be false. Ha! Sorry, but that doesn't hold water. What do you mean? Akechi's prints were on the weapon that used to kill Oda. Solid piece of proof to prove Akechi did it. That's all you have to say? Huh? What do you mean? This is your case. You ought to know Akechi's fingerprints on the murder weapon alone weren't enough to convict him. I don't follow you. Spell it out for us, will you? The evidence that should show you them now is the ashtray fingerprints. The ashtray used the murder weapon hadn't been washed because it was supposed to be thrown out. Akechi's fingerprints weren't the only ones on it. That means he can't prove he's guilty from the fingerprints alone. Detective, is that true? Yes, it's just as he says. So you admit it might not have been my brother?
Yeah.
But that's still not enough to prove somebody else did it. Somebody witnessed Akechi fleeing the scene. That's another piece of solid evidence. Think about it. You think a person actively fleeing the scene of a crime is the culprit, wouldn't you? Why did they say if they ran away if they didn't do anything? What do you have to say about that? Kiryu-san, do you have any information to refute the witness statement about Akechi-san? Let's see. There's a hole in one witness statement. Need to argue that angle. I don't remember which one, but one of them said it was, he didn't see him. Kinoshita's. Saw the criminal flee, but didn't get a good look at his face. Kinoshita, you saw Akechi fleeing the scene, right? Yes, I did. Are you sure? I'm not lying. I'm sure I saw him. But you didn't see his face of a person fleeing the scene. You said that, right? Yeah. I only saw his back. So then is it possible he saw somebody else? Is that all you got? The police wouldn't have arrested Akechi if just an all vague evidence, you know? There's also something that proved the person which Kinoshita saw was in fact Akechi. And what was that? The man Kinoshita saw leaving the scene of the crime was wearing Cafe Alp's waiter's uniform. The only waiters employed by Cafe Alps at the time were Kinoshita, Ai-san, Imagi-san, and Akechi-san. Security tapes will show Kiryu-san, Kinoshita-san, Asai-san in front at the time of the murder. We'll confirm that Imagi-san was at home. Therefore, by the process of elimination, only waiter Kinoshita could have seen was Akechi. Kiryu-san, is that true? No. It's absolutely possible the person Kinoshita was not Akechi. I have a statement to prove it. Well, then, why don't you share the statement with us? Statement that proves Akechi is leaving the town might not Akechi. And that's going to be, what's his face's testimony? Imawagi? Yeah, Imawaga's. There was actually another crime committed in the cafe this day 6 years ago. Another crime? First I've heard of it. Imawagi's uniform disappeared from his locker in the Cafe Alps locker room that day. Imawagi-kun's uniform? Yes, my uniform disappeared from his locker. Since you weren't present the day of the murder, when did you notice it was missing? The day after Oda-san was murdered, I came to work. The police investigating, so I couldn't go in. But once the police left, I looked in my locker and saw my uniform was gone. Come on, the police probably took it as evidence. I'm sure there was plenty of stuff missing from the crime scene. You're wrong. Someone was definitely harassing me. Everyone teased me. Sai-kun, why didn't you tell him you took Why don't you tell him that you took my uniform? You took everything else. The uniform must have been you too. You're so whiny. Bully? Police? Whatever. Whoever took it. Nothing to do with Akechi in this case. No, Imagi's uniform is the key to this case. Huh? What do you mean? I'll show you right now. I can show them 2 pieces of evidence that prove what happened to Imagi's uniform. What should I give? So I'm assuming it's the evidence list and, yeah, the testimony too that this guy only stole the CD but didn't leave his uniform. The other piece of evidence is, well, because he mentioned, yeah, and since he mentioned it had to be seized by the police. Look at this list of evidence I borrowed from. No waiter's uniform on it. Let's see. You're right. I don't see a waiter's uniform listed. In other words, the uniform disappeared before the police showed up. If the police didn't confiscate it, who could have taken it? It was Asai-kun, right? No. Not Asai. He did steal things from you, true. But he wasn't doing to harass you. He was just after some cash. Your wallet and CDs make sense, but your uniform wouldn't have been worth anything. Well, then who did it? Oh, you mean the murderer took it? Exactly. The criminal wanted to make it look like somebody else committed the crime. He stole a waiter's uniform and changed into it. And then, as soon as somebody came by, they hid their face and ran out the back exit. Is that true? So you're saying the person who stole Nagi's uniform and fled the scene is the real criminal? Yeah. And who might that be? I'm pretty sure it's, her. And they potentially collaborated, but... it is Yuko Kinoshita! Yes, the only person I could have been.
Kiryu-san, それではその人物の名前を教えてください。6年前、小田さんを殺し、明智さんに罪をかぶせた事件の真犯人とは一体？犯人は
Suspense.
お前だ。木下優子、お前が小田を殺した真犯人だ。
Oh, damn! Oh, damn! Her? Are you serious? I can't believe it! What? Yuko killed Oda-san. An interesting theory. Or would I why would I kill Oda-san? Don't have any reason to do anything like that. Yeah, Akechi's motive was Usemi's relationship with Oda-san. Exactly how is Yuko-san and Oda-san connected? I need something to prove Yoko and Oda know each other somehow. I think that's Asai's first testimony? Yeah. Asai's first testimony. Oda was dating somebody at the time of the murder. Somebody who used to work as a waitress at the Cafe Alps. What? Is that true? Yeah. Her last name was Saito. Saito? That was Yuko's maiden name. You worked in this cafe until just before the time of the murder. Yuko-san and Oda-san were dating? I didn't know that. Yuko-san, is that true? I don't have to answer that. Yuko. If Oda-san was dating Yuko-san, then Usemi-san wasn't the only one cheating. Oda-san was cheating too. That means Yoko-san had a motive to kill Oda-san. So anyone with a motive is a killer? You haven't done anything but hypothesize. Exactly. You could have talked about possibilities. Do you have any conclusive evidence she's murdered him? Conclusive evidence? Like fingerprints? If only I had something with Yoko's fingerprints on it. The business card that she just gave me. Boop. This is the evidence. Is that my business card? Business card with your fingerprints on it? Brrr. We should be able to compare the fingerprints on the card to the ones of the murder weapon. Shit! Give me that business card. Let's check it out right now. I finished analyzing the prints on the card. These are Yoko Kinoshita's prints. And these are the prints on the ashtray.
Oh!
There. The prints on Yoko-san's business card is the same murder weapon. I don't believe it. How do you explain that? There are prints on that ashtray. So what? How does that change anything? What do you mean? I ate the Alps the day after the murder. I must have just been touched the ashtray when I was there. She's right. There's no crime touching an ashtray. She was just a customer. No, Yuko's lying. I should call her out on it, which I give. Wasako's testimony? What was Wasako's testimony? No record of Yoko coming to Cafe Alps. I didn't think that, but okay. No, you're lying. What the hell are you talking about? There's no recording of your coming to the cafe on the day of the murder, right, Detective Maeda? That's right. We had Cafe Alp employees watch all the security tapes. They gave statements that no other cafe employees, former or otherwise, visited the cafe that day. Right, Kinoshita-san? That's right. I'd seen Yoko-san's face before. I would have noticed if she was in those tapes. She definitely wasn't. Which means you didn't come to Cafe Alps on the day of the murder as such a customer. So why were your fingerprints on the ashtray then? Fine. Maybe it wasn't the day of the murder. It might have been the day before. Not that big of an issue. No. You had to be there the day of the murder. You weren't a customer. You were a real murderer. Huh? The only people who could have prints on the murder weapon were those who visited the day of the murder. How'd you come to that conclusion? And now for the coup de grace. I need something that proves the prints on the murder weapons were made. That what's his face watches everything? The florist's testimony? Yeah. There we go. The ashtrays are cleared every day for your prints were on the murder weapon. That means you had been here the day of the murder. But the day of the murder, the customer dropped the ashtray, chipped it. Yuki Akechi saw the chipped ashtray and instead of washing it, decided to throw it out. Since you couldn't come to the cafe as a customer that day, there's only one time you could have left their prints on the ashtray. The day after Akechi dropped the ashtray on the locker room, as he witnessed Usami cheating on him with Oda. Sometime after Akechi left before Kinoshita came back to check on him, you entered the locker room and murdered Oda. And then you put on Moagi's uniform and went out the back. Isn't that right? Yoko-san, is what Kiryu-san said true? All will get worse if you stay quiet. Shut up! I told you I didn't do it. I give up. Yoko, I'm putting an end to this. What? Do you know something, Kinoshita? I knew you came to the cafe that day, Yoko. What? How? I could smell you. It was very faint, but I could smell your perfume all around the crime scene. No way. Why didn't you say this earlier? I've been in love with Yoko ever since we worked together. That's why I knew the scent of her perfume the moment I smelled it. Sometime after the murder, I happened to run into her again. Eventually, we started dating. One day, I brought up the murder and her face went white. She felt quiet, avoiding commenting on anything. That's when I was sure Yoko had been there the day of the crime. Well, I'll be. But I still don't know exactly what that meant. Or should I say, I don't know what that meant. I didn't want to know what that meant. When I found Kiryu-san was looking into the whole crime scene, I decided to keep it all a secret. But now Yuki Akechi has suffered 6 years for a crime he didn't commit. All because I didn't say anything. It's all my fault. If I'd just spoken up, none of this would have happened. Gee, Kinoshita-san.
さあ、もう言い逃れはできないぜ。
優子さん、今一度尋ねます。あなたが小田さんを殺したんですか？
そうよ。私がやったのよ。
Well then. Will you give a statement Yuki Akechi is innocent? Yes. Akechi-san had nothing to do with the murder. Yoko, how could you have done such a thing? Is it really just because Oda-san was cheating? Of course that's what it was about. He said he was going to marry me.
The 事件が起こった日、あの日は彼の小田さんの誕生日だった。だから私は彼を驚かそうと思ってプレゼントを持ってお店に向かったの。もうお店も閉まっている時刻だったから裏口から入ってロッカールームに向かったわ。でもそこで見たのは他の女と浮気してる彼の姿だった。私はとっさに身を引いて隠れた。落ち着いて目の前で何が起きているのか理解しようと努めたわ。そのすぐ後に明智さんがやってきた。明智さんはロッカールームの中を覗いて小田さんと宇佐美さんの浮気現場を目撃すると手に持っていた灰皿を落とし小田さんに掴みかかっていったわ。言い争うような声が聞こえた後すぐに宇佐美さんがロッカールームから出てきて裏口から店の外へ出て行ったわ。すぐに明智さんも宇佐美さんの後を追って店の外へ出て行ってしまった。明智さんと宇佐美さんが出て行った後私はロッカールームの中へ入っていった。小田さんは私の姿を見てすごいびっくりしたみたいだったけど浮気がバレたことが分かると開き直って別れ話を切り出してきたわ。宇佐美と一緒になるつもりだから別れてくれってね。 その言葉を聞いた途端、完全に頭に血が上っちゃって、気がついたら近くに落ちてた灰皿で小田さんを殴っていたわ。それからは桐生さんが言った通りよ。私はロッカーにあった制服に着替えて、わざと裏口の前で誰かが来るのを待っていた。少しして誰かが客席の方からやってきたから、顔を見られないようにして裏口から出て行った。それで部外者の自分には絶対に疑いがかからないだろうって思ったわ。
Several years passed. Ran into Kinshida-san and we eventually got married. I started selling things as a hobby, soon turned into a business. Before I knew it, it grew into a large company. It's been 6 years since that day, and my life's been going so well. I can't believe the truth came out now, of all times. Yuko-san, do you ever think it would felt like for Akechi-san to have been bear these first charges? Would it felt like to be knocked down to rock bottom and has freedom stolen from him these past years? I think what would have happened if he hadn't revealed the truth just now. How many more years would he have suffered? The only person who took Akechi's freedom away can give it back. You need to turn yourself in. Testify in front of a court and pay for your crimes. Can I escort you to the station? Yes. Yuko! I'll be right here waiting for you when you get back. Masaru. Thank you. Yeah, I think you're gonna get a very long sentence on that one. But we did it! We solved the mystery. Extra, extra! Guilty criminal, 6-year murderer, turns herself in. The man originally accused of the crime now stands to be acquitted of a new trial. I was wrong about the media. I thought you just went from one person to the next looking for gossip. I didn't think you'd actually cared about the people in your articles. I figured you just forgot about them the second they left your pages. But you've been worrying about my brother all this time. You even proved his innocence. There are decent people in media. Thank you so much for helping him. Nozomi-san. I also have to apologize for the way I treated you. I want to give you a reward for helping me get give me a retrial for my brother.
Yeah.
I don't owe me anything. As much as I hate to admit it, I didn't do anything on this one. Proving your brother's innocence was all the work of Kiryu-san here. I certainly don't deserve a reward from you. What are you talking about? You did a real journalist is supposed to do. What do you mean? Sure, you wrote an article saying Keshi was a murderer, but now you're trying to write an article claiming his name. Isn't that the way a real journalist is supposed to resolve things? Sure, but I won't let this be the end of it. I'll continue following the truth until the day I put down my pen. It's my duty as a reporter. I'll be cheering you on. And that's that. 200,000 yen and 20,000 experience. Well then, there we go. We solved the mystery with a little help from a guide to figure out exactly what things I should choose at what time. But yeah, with that, I am going to end this part here. This will be a little bit early, but this way, hopefully, I can put all of the finale in one part. Here's hoping, because it's late, but yeah. Thank you for joining me on this part. This will be part 27 for the YouTube video. Thank you very much for watching the mystery side story. And next time, we'll hopefully finish the game. Peace.